here is our favorite Uncle Ruckus, Jesse Lee Peterson, giving us proof that he was correct about South Africa coming to the United States.
Saying that South Africa is coming to America. As a matter of fact, it's already here and it's being built up. It's already here. And whether you believe me or not, it's up to you.
Truly, I do not believe you. Some people probably do, and they have their own issues to work out.
But one of the ways to bring South Africa into any other country, you got to destroy the men and put the women in charge.
Wait a minute. You got to destroy the men and put the women in charge. So, he's saying that anywhere where a woman is in charge, it's going to cause lots of issues. He needs to inform, all the various nations where they have a woman leader, like Germany.
And when the women are in charge, the doors are wide open for destruction. Look at the country now. As you put women in charge, look what's happening. Because the spiritual order of God has been broken, it's been rearranged, and nothing else is going to work but that. Look.
Okay, so the only thing that's going to work is the spiritual order of God. And being that he's a far-right conservative Christian, his spiritual order of what men and women relationships is men control the women. So he is trying to explain why women should be subjugated by men.
Look at all the lawlessness and the destruction and the evil that is coming forward. There's nothing to stop it. Men in a fallen state are afraid to be honest with women. They're afraid to tell them the truth because of the mama effect. They have not overcome mama.
Okay, so men are afraid to be honest with women when women have control. So I'm assuming that his honesty towards women, it would be that women are inferior and men should be in control because God.
But look at the states where women are controlling. All hell is breaking loose. Likewise in the homes. When men are weak or not there at all and the woman take over the home, everybody end up screwed up on drugs, alcoholics, and all kind of stuff.
Okay, if that is the case, how would you explain all the people who do live in a two-parent household that have some kind of either social problem or mental problem or something? I mean, if it's because the man is in control, then that means those families should turn out perfect.
Prostitutes and slut makers. Well, America, I've been warning you, short of a miracle from God, South Africa would be in full force in America if it's not turned around. Here's an example. This is from AMNY. Is that AM New York? AMNY. The mayor of New York, de Blasio, declared June 19th. And by the way, they say June 19th is something called Juneteenth or Teenth or something dumb. and that is supposed to be when the blacks were freed from slavery, and a whole lot of black slaves or people didn't know, and they found out 2 years later or so.
Okay, since this guy is a moron and has no idea what Juneteenth is, Juneteenth is um, the day, June 19th, the day that the slaves in Texas were finally told about slavery being ended in the United States, or the states at the moment, um, due to the fact that Texas was so far away at the moment and the lack of Union soldiers. It took a while for those slaves there to be told that they were free, and there is a celebration for that day called Juneteenth.
And so I asked in church yesterday, did the black people thank white people for freeing them? Because back in the day when blacks were freed, there were no black people fighting for that. It was white people who freed the blacks from slavery.
Wow, wow, this is something. There weren't blacks fighting for black freedom. It was just white people. So the black people are expected to thank white people for becoming free. That is that is so far out there. Like, this guy is so racist that he just wants to come up with whatever reason to make it seem like black people are bad. Oh, well, the newly freed slaves didn't thank white people for freeing them, so that is, they're bad people for that. It's just, this is why I call him Uncle Ruckus, because he hates black people so much that it's no different than like the Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks show, who is a black hating, white worshipping character who, hates black people and worships white people, white Jesus. If you haven't seen Boondocks, watch it.
So is June 10th or June 19th a day of celebration and appreciation to white people for freeing them? I don't know because I didn't celebrate that whole thing. I'm not into that, but did the blacks, when they held their little whatever events, was it to show appreciation to the whites in America for freeing them?
Whites in America. He sometimes says this like random uh, higher pitched thing. Usually when he says beta or sometimes amazing, but I don't know. This is hilarious. Black people having to thank white people for being free.
Or did they ignore the whites and pretend that it didn't happen? That the white.
Okay, wow. Okay, did black people pretend that it never happened, that they never were freed? Um, I wouldn't doubt that there were, you know, slaves that did thank the white abolitionists for helping them become free, as well as, black abolitionists. Um, it's, I don't even know what he's doing. Honestly, this guy is just crazy.
Didn't have anything to do with it. All of a sudden, they freed themselves. I'm just wondering out loud, did they celebrate a day of appreciation to the whites, or was it a day of phoniness that they freed themselves? Anybody know? I would take a guess. I could be wrong, but I would take a guess they ignored the whites and pretended they freed themselves.
Okay, your guess is obviously wrong because Even though I wasn't there, there's pretty much, I guess, maybe no stories about it. But like this doesn't even matter. I don't even know why I care so much.
Knowing the blacks. And not all, but most. It's a spiritual battle, folks. So, the New York Mayor Bill de Blasio declared June 19th an official city holiday and create.
But this is supposed to be his like first proof that South Africa is coming to, or South Africa is in the United States, and really he hasn't proved much, but claiming that, or talking about Juneteenth.
Aided the Racial Justice and Reconciliation Commission. Racial Justice and Reconciliation Commission. What is that? I have nobody. Sound like South Africa, right? A panel met to correct. A panel meant to correct any racial injustice. So you got black people and mostly women trying to correct any racial injustice. Mind blowing, sir. How are they going to correct it?
Well, yeah, it's totally mind blowing for a racist like Jesse Lee Peterson um, to imagine how a group of oppressed people uh, would have, firsthand experience on how to end racial injustice. It's because this guy, like, he's so far removed from reality that he probably doesn't even see himself as black in the mirror, that he's white, because he wants, like, pretty much, I wouldn't doubt, like, his life, his, like, fantasy dream would to be a white person.
It is mind blowing. I'm being told that, according to AM New York, de Blasio called June 19th a celebration of a liberation that never really came. And I want to remind you, I think that guy is married to a black ex-lesbian or something.
Well, he's saying Bill de Blasio is married to a black lesbian. He hates homosexuals, so that's why he's trying to claim that she's a lesbian. But even if she was and they were together for whatever reason, it doesn't mean anything whatsoever.
So he's married to a black ex-lesbian. You know he has no backbone.
Oh, ex-lesbian is what he's saying. This guy, he likes to, like, fuck up his words, I believe on purpose, to make himself sound stupid. And then if somebody says something about it, which somebody has in the past, he just claims that he's black and he's stupid.
Whatever that black woman say, de Blasio has no other choice but to do what she says. It is the first of its kind in any American city or state, and de Blasio compared it to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of South Africa. I told you, y'all think I'm playing. I ain't playing.
Oh, okay. So, because they're modeling it after a group in South Africa, that means the United States is becoming South Africa.
Here's your soundbite.
I want to give honor to God. Without him, this day would not be possible. We're doing something in New York City has never been done before in this country. We're naming a city commission on racial justice and reconciliation, just like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, that got to the whole impact that apartheid had on that society. We're going to systematically look at the history of racism in this city, the way it lives today, the structural and institutional reality of racism, the way it surrounds us and pervades our life and holds back people of color in every conceivable way, whether it's housing or employment or just a life you live walking down the street.
That's amazing. I can't believe this is happening. But yet I believe it. White people hanging themselves. They're hanging themselves. I don't know. Well, I know when you're angry, you're in a fallen state, you can't see what you're doing. But white people don't see what they're doing to themselves. They're turning over their lives to black people. And they're pretending that racism is a real issue. It's not.
White people are turning their lives over the black people and pretending that racism is an issue when it's not. to 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 this guy, and pretty much for all like conservatives that lean this far to the right, as he does, and pretty much all of them that lean to the right, it's a fear of uh, people of color having actual equal footing with white people, and when that happens, it goes against the status quo of black people and other POCs being subjugated, since that is the foundation of the United States, of POCs being subjugated. And when there's any threat to that type of status quo, people like Jesse Lee Peterson have a pretty extreme reaction.
What the? And listen up. De Blasio made his wife co-chair of the commission. His wife, his black, his lesbian wife, the co-chair of this racial reconciliation commission. All I gotta say, y'all better hide behind rocks. Go find yourself a rock. You're gonna need it to hide behind if they continue down this path.
Good. That's some pretty sound advice. That is coming from Jesse Lee Peterson. Seems like the only good advice. Crawl underneath a rock and hide there until somebody comes by and tell you that you can come out. May want to store a little bit of food because it's going to be a while.
Because these black folk hate white people. And they are now intimidating you and making you hang your own self.
Well, I hate the fact that he keeps using hanging, because that's not actually what's going on in the history of lynching in the United States. He more than likely knows it, which is why he wants to use it, because people like him want to try to make it seem like the status quo of white people are in danger. So they're going to use pretty loaded language like this to make it seem like white people are being victimized in some way.
It's mind-blowing. This is a warfare between good and evil. You do what you want. You've been warned. Black people don't have love, folks. They hate. Wait until you hear the number of killing it.
Okay, see, black people don't have love. They hate. This is something that Jesse Lee Peterson tries to push into people's minds a lot. That there's only a certain group of people that can actually love, and that is white Christian males. Um, it's because of he believes that God and Jesus gives males love, and women get that love through either their dad or their husband. And well, black people just hate everybody and everything, and all they want to do is kill. That's basically his beliefs on men, women, and black people.
Chicago, just over the weekend, Father's Day weekend, and around the country, black on black violence against one another. So not only do they hate each other, they hate their parents, they hate themselves, and they literally hate white people because they're being convinced that whites are the problem.
There's one thing that people like Jesse Lee Peterson does, and that is project their emotions, their desires, and their beliefs onto other groups. Uh, Jesse talks a lot about everybody hating their parents, uh, their own ethnic group, or whatever, and that is because Jesse himself hates his mom, um, hates his dad, and because he hates his mom, he sees his mom and other women, so he has a hate pretty much for all women, no matter what they do, and projects that hate onto pretty much everything he sees.
But it's not true. And no one will say it. Everybody going, oh, poor blacks. Let's get a reconciliation. Reconciliation. Injustice. Racism just rampant. You can't even walk up and down the road if you're black in America. How you fall for that lie? Don't you see what's happening? Amazing. And don't